All right, welcome back, everybody. So we want to finish up by going to Los Angeles, where a restructured jury panel continues deliberations in the rape trial of actor Danny Masterson. The former That 70s Show star faces accusations from 3 women, all former members of the Church of Scientology who practiced alongside Masterson. All 3 testified during trial, claiming their assaults took place at Masterson's Hollywood Hills home. Prosecutors argued that the religious group's power and influence prevented the victims from speaking out sooner. Now, Masterson didn't take the stand, but his defense team argued that the acts were consensual and that the accuser's stories were inconsistent. Now, the jury originally came back deadlocked, but the judge ordered them to come back after the Thanksgiving break. This gave the panel 9 whole days away from the courthouse. As of Monday, 2 members of the original jury panel tested positive for COVID-19 and 2 alternates have taken their place. So the question is this going to derail the course of deliberations? Well, let's talk about it. Terry, I'll start with you. There are 2 new jurors sitting in. They're giving their 2 cents. Do you think ultimately this is going to help or slow things down even more?
Oh, it's definitely going to slow it down, and I think it could put the whole case at risk here. I've often thought that the alternates should sit in on the deliberations from the very beginning and then not take place in the vote. But that's not the way it's done. They are kicked out and they don't come in until they are needed. But the problem there is when you start all over, you might miss some of the information that you talked about originally, and it's just not as clean. Plus the fact that they were out for that long over the Thanksgiving break. You know some of them saw some of the news, and you know that they talked about the case. And at the end of the day, there could be a mistrial if that comes out. So yes, I think this is going to derail the whole case.
But we also don't know if those jurors that were removed ultimately were the ones that were keeping up the deadlocked jury, right, Brian? I mean, what do you think the issues are that the jury's wrestling with?
Well, 2 things. First, to your point, we don't know what the deadlock was. Let's say, for example, it was 9-3 to convict. Well, maybe the 2 jurors coming in were a part of the 9 or a part of the 3. Maybe it's 7-5. Maybe it's 11-1. We don't know. But the main issue, I think, is going to be credibility of the alleged victims here because of that extra aspect of the Church and Scientology as to when they reported, how much influence the church had on them, whether or not their stories were consistent, as the defense argued. I think the new addition of these 2 jurors, along with these issues of credibility, is what's holding up this jury.
Yeah. By the way, credit to Brian, great math. Lawyers, usually not great at math. That was very impressive. I don't think I would have been able to do that on the fly.
I'm really good with 12.
Switching gears now to a new move in the case against 2 parents accused of being partially responsible for a school shooting that killed 4 students. Jennifer and James Crumbley were supposed to go to trial in January, but a Michigan Supreme Court judge sent the case back to the State Court of Appeals. James and Jennifer are each facing 4 charges of involuntary manslaughter in connection with the Oxford High School shooting. The prosecution says the Crumbleys allowed their son access to a weapon when there were signs he could commit acts of violence. The gunman himself pleaded guilty to 24 counts. Out of Long Island, New York, involving one Suffolk County police officer known to the community as the Baby Whisperer. On Saturday morning, Sergeant John Eric Negron helped save a newborn baby's life with assistance from his fellow officers. Owen Anthony Maldonado entered the world in his family's living room nearly 3 weeks early. Now, this is Sergeant Negron's 5th baby delivery in 5 years. In 2017, he became a godfather to the 3rd baby he delivered. That child had stopped breathing due to an umbilical cord wrapped around the neck. And that same year, the Baby Whisperer made a delivery on the side of the road with help from another officer. Sergeant Negron told ABC7, quote, "I thought that my childbirth days were over when I became a sergeant this year. And I guess the record lives on. We'll see how many more we can take it to." Unbelievable. An obstetrician officer, in another word.